So we were just laughing before this, which is why we're laughing now. But welcome to the Render Podcast. I'm your host, Cam, and I'm excited to talk about today's topic. And we're here with Kaylee. Kaylee, say hi.
Hello, everyone.
This is going to be a fun episode.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're listening, most of the people who listen to our episodes listen on the day it comes out or a couple days after. Like, that's the most engagement. And if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, on Wednesday, then you know that Valentine's Day is just a few days away, which is crazy. Like, we're already a month and a half into this year, which is crazy to me. But Valentine's Day is coming up. It is. And we were just talking for a second about the fact that just because Valentine's Day is coming, it doesn't have to be a romantically driven holiday. If you actually, is it even a holiday?
I think so, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, it's a holiday. But it doesn't have to be romantically driven, and we were just talking about that. And Kaylee, you mentioned that you could give love to yourself, you can give love to your parents, you can give love to your team, you can give love to so many different people. It does not have to be relationship driven. Talk more about that.
Yeah, I mean, commonly people like this, I don't know when it came out, but like this idea of like Galentine's Day and like supporting the
Or I like to say Galentine's Day.
Galentines for all those fellas out there who feel excluded from the Galentines trend.
It's a new word. Galentines and Galentines.
There you go. It's something that like people come around and celebrate their gals or guy friends or just like really like sending love to people and reminding people that you're thinking about them, that you remember them, that you love them and are grateful for them. I have talked about this on the podcast before, but I am a huge proponent of celebration, and finding ways to show appreciation to people I think is so fun, and I love finding unique ways to do that. And so I actually, being an Enneagram 4, this will not come to a surprise to you, Cam, but I don't love traditionally the thought of Valentine's Day because I'm like, it's so like sappy and blah, 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 blah. But growing up, so I have two sisters, and my dad is like a total girl dad, like loves us to death. And every year he would go like far beyond expectation and celebrate us through Valentine's Day. And like one year we had this like media room in our house, and it was like upstairs, it's kind of by my bedroom. And I remember coming home one day and there was like a sign taped on the door that said, "Don't go in here, exterminator's coming." And I was like, Dad, like what's going on? Like what's going on in the media room? And he was like, "Oh no, they have to like come and exterminate. There's bugs in there or something." And I was like, "Okay, that's so weird. Like wasn't up there the other day." And
for me, I would be like, "Oh my gosh, I was in there and there's bugs. Like, what the crap is going on?"
Yeah, I was so curious. I was like, what the heck? But all day long, he had been like preparing that room and setting it up like a fine dining restaurant, and like had tables set out for me and my sisters and my mom, and had like a candlelit dinner and like cooked all day and like made sure that we were all dressed up. Yeah. And like, took us into the room and was like, here. And there was like nice music. And so, all my life growing up, my dad made sure it was like very, very special. And so I always associate Valentine's Day with just like showing people how special they are to you.
I love that. My dad never went to those crazy extremes. He always made my mom feel super loved by taking her on a date, or like if she had mentioned wanting a new purse or like wanting something, he went out and got something for her and such. But he always, I'm the only girl in my family outside my mom, as you know, but people on this podcast might not know. I have 3 younger brothers, and so my dad was always super adamant and about making sure my mom and me both felt super loved. And so to this day, I still get a flower arrangement from my dad every single year. And he started when I was a newborn. There's actually a picture of him getting like a tiny little arrangement for me as a newborn and all the way through. And in fact, one Valentine's Day I remember specifically, it must have fallen on a Friday or something. And I was in preschool. I was like, I don't know, probably 3 or 4. And I don't know how I remember this, but I remember it. I remember being picked up by him in a limo. He came to my preschool and picked me up in a limo, and I had flowers, and we went out on an ice cream date afterwards because my mom was working as a nurse and she was on night shift. And so he couldn't take her out because she was working. And so he picked me up in a limo from my preschool, and all I remember is the limo. But he tells me that there was flowers, and we went out on an ice cream date and like had so much fun.
Oh my
And that was
gosh.
before I had my brothers. So it was just like, I just remember that, like feeling so special and so loved by him. It was so cool.
That's
And it's not,
amazing.
I mean, obviously it's my dad, so it's not like a romantic thing. And so I've always like been the same, to where it's not dependent on someone being in my life to like make sure that I feel loved.
Yeah,
Um,
it's special.
yeah. Which leads us into a great conversation that we're not talking about Valentine's all day today, but we're talking about how do you give yourself some self-love? Not only in the season of Valentine's and all the lovey-dovey things that are going around on social media, but how do we give ourselves love not only now, but throughout the entire year and throughout our daily lives? And so we're going to just share some things that make us feel loved, and why they make us feel that way. And if you don't mind, I'm going to tell a quick story, which you've heard this story a million times, I'm sure. But there was a season where I did not give myself love. I worked all the time, and I'll make it a short story because you can go to our Instagram. And last week on Friday, I did an Instagram Live. It's on IGTV. Go hear the full story. But quick version is I was working full time for 2 different businesses. I was a full time realtor's assistant, and I was working full time at a boutique because I had to get clothes somehow, and a discount was the only way that I thought possible as a single mom. And so I was like, I'm gonna, work in this boutique. And then I was also working full time in my side hustle at the time, which is now the business that it is today. And
Hashtag
biggest,
busy.
yeah, I mean, you know me very well. It does not come as a big surprise, I'm sure. But I wasn't giving myself time and love. I slept maybe 3 to 4 hours a night because I was so busy. I ate like crap. I mean, honestly, I don't know how I survived. Like, I ate so bad. Like, I would, and you know this about me, I don't put food at the priority. And, right now I am, but normally I don't put food as a priority. Kaylee will actually joke it with me. She's like, "How's your 4-hour lunch going over there?"
Takes
Like,
you for
it's going really great. Yeah. Yeah. Or I'll just forget to eat. Like, I'll eat at 3 o'clock or so. But when I was working 3 full-time jobs, I would go to like Wendy's at 3 o'clock because I'd be so freaking hungry. And I was like, a burger sounds really great. As burgers always sound great, but burger sounds really great. So I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get a milkshake. I'm gonna get all the bad stuff for you. And so I went through life not eating very well, not sleeping, not. I was super stressed out because I was working 3 different jobs and a single mom and trying to make ends meet. I was living paycheck to paycheck and was just super stressed out. And so did not take care of myself at all. My priority list was myself, maybe not even on the list, like at the very bottom at most, maybe not even on the list. And I finally decided, you know what, I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to actually pour into myself. And so I quit those 2 full-time jobs. I put everything into this business as it is today. And the first 2 days, I started out by going to a conference in Austin. And the second day of the conference, I start to get this growth kind of on my hand. And it started super small and it looked like a bruise. And it started on my hand and it grew into my wrist and it grew into my arm. And I called my mom naturally because she's my mom, but she's also a nurse. But I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I don't know what's going on. My skin doesn't itch and it doesn't hurt and it's not raised. It's just like the skin coloration is turning like a brown black. And I don't know what's going on. I'm really freaked out. And she said, let's go to an internist when you get home and we're going to figure it out. So I go to the internist the very next day and he starts going through the evaluation. You know how doctors are like, what are you eating and what's your stress level and how are you sleeping? And so I was telling him all these things. And at the end of the meeting, he said, I know exactly what's going on. You are not giving yourself, he wouldn't have said you're not loving yourself, but he was essentially saying, long story short, you're not loving yourself. You're not doing the things that are keeping you as a high functioning person, an adult. And so he said, go eat a salad, go sleep for like 15 hours because you probably need it, and reduce your stress level. Like, do the things for your body that you need to do. And he essentially gave me kind of a death sentence at the time. He said, if you continue this way, if you continue going like this all the time, in seasons, understandable. But if the seasons turn into a lifetime and this is how you're going to treat your body, you're going to be gone in 10 years. And you need to change something. He said, this thing that's happening on your skin is the warning shot. This is your body telling you something is wrong. Something is wrong. And he said, not only are you going to have it there, but he said, how's your back pain? I said, my back hurts all the time. Well, there's your kidneys telling you that your kidneys are on fire. How's your shoulders? I said, they're about up to my ears because they're so stressed. I carry all my stress in my shoulders. He said, yep, that's not supposed to happen. He said, what about your eyesight when you're super tired? How's your eyesight? I said, well, it gets kind of fuzzy and I can't see very well. He's like, well, that's another warning shot. So he started just kind of going on this list. He said the most common one is back pain. And so if anyone listening to this right now and you have back pain that's unusual, that's not just like maybe you worked out hard or maybe you lifted something too heavy, like those are reasons why you might have back pain. But if you have back pain because you sit in a chair or because you just do normal life, that's your body telling you something's wrong. Something is wrong. And so after that was in 2016 that all that happened. And since then, Kaylee's known me for quite some time, gone through seasons of like pouring into myself and putting myself as a priority and seasons that I haven't. And the seasons that I've actually made myself a priority, the seasons I've actually given myself self-love are the happiest and most joyful I've ever been, ever. And I was telling, I run a mastermind with other rental professionals. I'm on Clubhouse. And the last couple weeks, really, I've been talking about this concept of a joy list or a happy list or a love list to yourself and things that you can do to pour into yourself to make you feel like you have an overflowing cup. And we all know the analogy. You can't pour from an empty cup. You need to pour from an overflowing cup. And if you're doing nothing to love yourself, if you're doing nothing to provide joy and happiness to yourself, there's no way that you can serve other people. There's no way you can serve your partner or your spouse. There's no way you can serve your kids. There's no way you can serve your team. There's no way you can serve anybody in your life. Whether you're married, whether you're dating someone, whether anything is going on in your life, there's no way that you can pour out if you're not pouring into yourself. And that looks very different across many different people.
Yeah.
And I encouraged my mastermind students today and the people on my Clubhouse today, we're recording this on Monday, comes out in 2 days. I told them today, I said, I want you to go and make a list, your joy list, your happy list, your love list, however you want to name it, your list of the things that make you happy, things that make you joyful, and I want you to put down at minimum 10 things. And I say, I want you to write this down because if we have it in our head, we're going to forget. We might remember eventually, but we're going to forget. So I said, write it down. Pull out your notes section on your phone. Write it on a piece of paper. Put it as a draft email, whatever you need to do. But write it down. And I said, then when you pick one thing from that list every single day to do for yourself. And so our lists look different, right? My list looks like Beyonce being blared in my car. That is not on Kaylee's list.
Nope.
But that's on my list, and that makes me feel joyful. Like screaming, singing at the top of my lungs to really any song. I mean, I love Formation and I love Get Me Bodied and I love all those, but really any song of Beyonce's that brings me like pure joy. And actually on Friday, I don't know if you remember on Friday, but I was like kind of sluggish in the morning. I was like just kind of in a rut. I just was like, ugh, I can't focus. I can't like do whatever. And I was like, I'm going to go to La La Land, which is a coffee shop. It's not like some weird place. For those who don't live in Dallas, they might be like, La La Land? What is that? It's a coffee shop.
I'm gonna go to La La Land, like walk into the closet and just like turns off the lights and just
It's a coffee shop. It's a coffee shop. It's a coffee shop. I promise. La La Land Coffee House. Somebody on this podcast listening right now is going to be like,
what?
What's La La Land? You on drugs?
Also a great movie. Great movie as well.
So on Friday, I was like, I'm gonna go to La La Land Coffee House. I'll be right back. And so what I did is I got in my car, I put on my favorite Beyonce song, drove to La La Land Coffee House, and I won't say I intentionally missed the exit, but I missed my exit on the highway and got to listen to one extra Beyonce song. So I'm not mad about it. Ordered myself a dirty chai double shot because it was needed. Really, I mean, I don't think haven't ordered a single shot in a long time. I should probably check on my heart for that. But ordered a double shot dirty chai. Ordered myself the Queen avocado toast because Brooke on our team told us about the Queen avocado toast, and I was listening to the Queen, so I had to get the Queen. Yeah, and it filled my cup. And that is now I now have added that. So not only are you going to write down this joy list or happy list or love list, but you're going to save it to a place where you can add to it. Because I didn't know that I loved the Queen avocado toast. Now I know that I love the Queen avocado toast. It's also very expensive, so I can't have it all the time.
That's like once every quarter. Not that
Yeah.
expensive, but
Yeah, but not every day.
Yeah,
not once a week.
sure.
So it's this just something that brings you joy. Something that brings you joy.
I also, to play off of that, I have been trying to I love, for people that don't know me, I am like very like photo art, like love capturing life in certain moments. And so what I've been trying to do each day is like look for things that bring me joy. So like moments that have, like if I'm in a moment, like for example, yesterday I had just finished a book about creativity, and so I felt very inspired. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna grab all my magazines and I'm just gonna cut like pictures out, and I'm gonna make a little mood board in a notebook. And I was listening to jazz because I love jazz right now, and was like felt like I was in a scene from a movie, and was like, oh my gosh, like this is wow, I feel so full in this moment right now. And so I stopped, and I try in those moments not to like pull out my phone, but I've kind of created this habit of like when I'm in those moments, I want to remember that that was like a moment that was really special, and like I felt like the most myself in that moment. And so I've been taking these like 1 to 2 second videos, and I have an app called Leap Second. And basically, what you do is you upload 1 second videos every single day for the year. And then at the end of the year, you get to like review your year in a like 5 minute video. And I
That's
don't do
so
it every
cool.
day. Yeah, I don't do it every day, but it's helped me like really start to pay attention to the moments that are happening in my life, and also the things that are bringing me joy around myself. And before doing that, I kind of would just like go through the moment of like moving from moment to moment, and I would think about like, oh wow, that was a really special moment. But then it would just like you said, like if you just think about it, it kind of like leaves your mind, and that was it. And so also like alongside writing your like joy list, maybe each moment that you do that and you feel that joy, you capture it. Like you take a picture on your phone, or you take a quick video. And it's just been such a fun way for me to like really remember, oh, I actually really enjoyed that, or that was like such a special moment.
Yeah, I love that. And even like 2 or 3 years from now, when you're looking through your photos or your videos, you'll come back to that and be like, oh, I loved that. That was
Yeah.
a really great moment.
Yeah, for sure. Yes.
That's so fun. I'm going to have to download Leap Second then.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I forget, so I had to set notifications on my phone to actually remember doing it because I don't have notifications on like anything else. But I was like, I need to do this because at the beginning of this year, I watched last year's, and I was like, wait, this was like only 3 minutes. It should be 5 minutes. And I was like, oh, that's because I forgot. So
Well,
it's
it was
free.
2020.
Yeah,
You have an
true.
excuse.
That's for sure. I've also been trying to, alongside the joy, like capturing thing. The book I was reading is called Steal Like an Artist, and it's by Austin. I think he pronounces his last name Klein. Could be wrong. Steal Like an Artist. Look it up. So good. But he was talking about creating a log book, and so getting like a little spiral notebook and like carrying it around with you, or like having it at the like your bedside table and writing down everything that you did for the day. And maybe not like everything, but like I grabbed coffee at this place, I ran into this person, or I went and saw this movie, or like little things that happen throughout your day. And he was talking about how if you do that, if you write down the small things, it will help you remember the big things later on. And so like having a logbook of like the day, of like even looking back like a year from now and being able to remember like, oh yeah, on on February 8th, wow, February 8th, I recorded a podcast with Cam. And then I'd be like, oh, I can go listen to that podcast and like be reminded of those things. And so that's something I'm trying out right now. And it's been really fun.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I never even thought about that.
I know. I
I've
hadn't either.
You and I have talked about in the past, and maybe we've said it in a podcast episode or something about like writing, just journaling every night, or journaling after work, or doing something to like release all the thoughts that might be in your mind before you go to bed or before you go into your next thing. Like for you, I know that you used to live super close to work. We used to work from home, and so you'd have to transition between home and work life in the same space. And so I learned this from you, where you would just kind of journal what was in your head, what was going on, what thoughts maybe have come up, or to-dos that you might have to do tomorrow that you don't necessarily want to talk about or think about for the rest of the evening. And so that's kind of along the same lines, but both are great practices.
Yeah, it's like a shorter, condensed version. Like I literally wrote like yesterday was I like played tennis. I won one match. I finally beat Will. Will's my husband. I finally beat him and one match, and then he won the rest of them. But whatever. But I was like, one thing. Like that's what I wrote. I won the one, and then like watch the Super Bowl, and that was it. And so it's like a really easy like simulation if you're not a diary person, or like somebody who's just like, I'm just gonna sit and I'm just gonna talk about all the little things that happen in my day. Like that can take a long time, and if that's not you, then that's not you. But it's been like a really fun practice. So that's cool. The way I'm living myself right now.
That's awesome. I love that. What are other things that are on your love list or joy list, or things that you maybe even, okay, 2-part question. I'm rewording my question now. What do you do on a daily basis?
Ready.
Daily basis, love, happy, joy list. And then like long term, like either seasonal, quarterly, once a year, like something big that you do that you're like, this is how I love myself.
Well, this will not surprise you, but it changes all the time.
I'm not surprised by that.
But so daily.
This is the difference between Kaylee and I. I am a creature of habit. I love, like, quickly, massages are my like big thing that I do for myself. It's always been that way. It's never changed. Beyonce as a little thing, always been that way. Kaylee is not this way. She's like, it's seasonal. It's sometimes seasonal, sometimes yearly you change.
Yeah. My parents would say, that's just Kaylee. I'm a free-spirited child. That's just me. I secretly love it, but it's hard for the rest of the people around me.
That's because we're Enneagram 4.
Yep. Well, okay, so what I've been learning about myself is that I have to have routines. Like, I do so much better with routine and rhythm and like living into that rhythm. And so I've been trying to get better about my daily like habits and whatnot. I'm still working on them, but trying to get better.
You're always going to be working on them.
Oh yeah, for sure. Everyone's going to be working on themselves. But I would say on my joy list, I love that, by the way. I love joy list. I would say daily is I've been trying to like go for a walk every day. One thing I'm trying right now is just to like move my body for 30 minutes and not like put the pressure of like working out to change myself. I've always struggled with my self-image and like not being thrilled with where I'm at like in my body. And so what I'm trying to focus on, instead of like putting the pressure of you work out to lose weight or you work out to like change the way that you feel. I am just trying to just work out and just to like move. And so that's something that I'm doing, that's been really helpful, and like brings me a lot of joy. I also try to create something every day. And this looks different per day. But if my work day is like super creative, then I'm like, great, I don't have to do that at home. But if it's not, then I try to like read a magazine or like listen to music or I don't know. Like yesterday, I
Like a mood
did my
board.
little mood exercise. Yes. And so trying to find ways to like spark that sense of like, I'm doing this for myself and no one else has, I think has, I have to work really hard at it because I think as women especially, we've been taught all of our life of like, hey, you should help everyone else, or you shouldn't think about yourself, or you shouldn't talk about yourself, or you shouldn't love yourself. Like you should be loving everyone else and like serving
Yeah.
everyone else. And while that is so true, like we are to, like you should care about other people and you should be thinking about other people and like ways to love them and serve them and all of that. Like that's what makes society better. But I think it's so important, like you've said so many times, of like you can't pour from an empty cup. And so like in order for you to love someone else and like to serve someone else, you have to first like set yourself up to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And I can't serve like I can't serve other people without, if I was just like a I don't know why this analogy came into my head, but if I was like a frail noodle, like I couldn't help other people, you know? So
Okay. I'm here for the frail noodle.
frail noodle, it's like I was envisioning, those like at car sales, like the little thing on the side of the road that's like
Mhm.
blowing in the wind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
I
It's
do. I
like
do. Like a crazy little thing.
yeah, yeah, they're just like frailing. That's what I was picturing. So that's what came out. So
Frail
there,
noodle.
frail.
But it's so true. I mean, just like I was talking about earlier, you cannot pour out from an empty cup. I mean, literally, like if your cup was empty of water or whatever drink you're drinking, you can't pour out from it. And so the same is true.
Mine,
And just like you
mine
said,
is.
yep, I got mine right here.
It's
It is
literally
full.
empty.
Well, I've got a full cup over here.
You can't. Okay, there we go. Analogy. I'm
Yeah, I'm
empty.
pouring for a full cup, baby. Here we go.
Yes.
But and what you said about women is so true, and most of the people that listen to this are women. I know there's a few men that do, but as women, we're told to share with everybody else, like do everything for everybody else. As a mom, you're doing things for your kids. As a wife, you're doing things for your husband or your partner. As a business owner, you're doing things for your team. Um, as a daughter, you're doing things for your parents. As a sibling, you're doing things for your siblings. Like as women growing up, we just were taught this. Like that's just what we were taught. And I think that narrative is shifting right now. Like I know that I'm teaching my daughter different things because I know more. I have more wisdom around this. And so I think that narrative is changing ever so slightly, but society would tell us that women, we are born with all the feelings. We're born with all of the, everybody else before me type of mentality. And it's hard to do that when you're not pouring into yourself. And so this isn't a talk about, being selfish or like me type of thing. This is a no, I need to pour into me so I can be there for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love that you mentioned that because I think it's something that's worth talking about.
Yeah. And it took me a really long time, and I'm still figuring out how to do it well, and like how to balance like having a spouse, and also like one thing I've been realizing a lot lately is um, my husband and I had to quarantine with each other for 7 days in a 1 bedroom apartment
Twice.
twice. And I love my husband to death. But being in a 1 bedroom apartment and like being around him constantly, I was like, you know what? Something I haven't done in a really long time is just be by myself. Like I used to like used to be in college and like post college, like before I got married, like I would go and just like go to a museum by myself or like go to a shop and just walk through a shop by myself. And I have forgotten, like, oh yeah, I can do that. Like I could go and just like,
Go for a walk by yourself.
yeah, I'd be like, hey, I'll see you in 30 minutes. Like, I'm just gonna go for a little walk. And like that is okay and that is good. And like, and I especially like, so Will and I used to work together. He actually used to work for
Yep.
Render. You know this, our listeners don't. But we were
Yeah,
together,
he worked here for like a year and a half, didn't he?
yeah, almost
Something
2 years,
like
I
that.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, we work together, we live together, our friends are the
You
same.
carpooled to work together.
Like we were together all the time. And our marriage was good, like everything was fine, but it was this weird balance of like when he transitioned to a different job of like, oh, we're not together anymore. Like what does this look like? Like, oh my gosh. And so now it's like funny, like a new season of like being in quarantine and not being able to see a lot of people and like being able to go out. I'm learning again of like, oh, I need to do something for myself. And I can be okay with that. Like, it's okay for me to do that. So just like having to like remember, like to literally tell myself, oh no, you need to go and like do something just for you. And so I love this idea of doing like a joy list and like having things that whenever you don't know what to do for yourself, like you just pull out your list and you're like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. This is what
Right.
I'm going to do today.
Blindly choose which one you want to
Yeah,
do.
it's so fun.
Yeah, I love it. And part of making sure it's a part of what you're doing instead of like forgetting to do it
Mm,
is building in these routines and habits. And routines and habits are going to look different for so many people. My routine and habit is very different than Kaylee's routine and habit. My routine and habit is very different than my mom's and everybody else I know. I mean, nobody's routine and habit look the exact same unless of course you're being a creeper and like want to be the exact same. But which I guess isn't a problem, but most are going to look very different, and it might look different day to day, and it might look different, weekday to weekend. It might look different from month to month or year over year. And so,
yeah.
you're talking about, oh, I'm not that great about my routine or whatever. Well, we're always working on a routine. Like, I'm not great about my routine every single day. I try to do something for my joy list every single day.
Mhm.
And you know this about me. And the only, in the last 45 or 46, on the day this comes out, it'll be 48 days because I'm going to make sure I keep doing it. I work out every single day. Every single day I get some sort of a workout in. And there's a long time that that didn't happen. And so this routine that is happening, I'm going to get to a day that I don't work out every single day. Like it's inevitably going to happen. At some point, life is going to get busy, or a day is going to get too busy to where I can't fit in a workout. And that's okay because you can pick up and do it again. You
Mhm.
can pick up and do it again. You can pick up and do it again. It's not just, hey, I chose to wake up at 4:30 every day, work out every day, eat healthy every day. You can have moments that that doesn't happen. And I'm telling myself that just as much as I'm telling everybody else here, because if you know me, I'm an Enneagram 3, I'm an achiever. I will do what I say I'm going to do, and if I say that I'm going to work out every day, gosh dang it, I'm going to work out every day. But it's okay to not. Like it's okay to say, you know what, today I'm not going to choose from my joy list because today I just need a day off, or today I'm not going to work out, or today I'm not going to wake up at 5, or today I'm not going to fill in the blank for you, like whatever that looks like for you. This routine is always going to be changing and shifting. My life today looks vastly different than it did a year ago. Not only because 2020 and the pandemic happened and all this crap has happened, but my life looks very different today than it did a year ago. It looks very different than it did 6 months ago. It looks very different than it did 3 months ago. And that's just part of life. Like life is going to be ever evolving and changing, which is why this joy list is so important. Because even when life changes, even when a pandemic hits and you lose your job, or a pandemic hits and your company goes under, or something happens in your family, or a loved one passes away, or like something happens in your life, because it's inevitable, it's going to, like, something's going to happen in your life, that you still have this joy list to go back to. You still have something that you can say, you know what, it sucks right now, but I'm going to choose to have some joy, which is a core value of ours. We choose joy every freaking day. And having this list is super easy to be able to go back to that instead of like getting to an end of the day and you're like, huh, I feel like I should do something for myself. What should I do? Like, you have this list to be like, this is what I'm going to do. Because I wrote it down.
Yes.
Instead of it being in your head, writing it down and being able to choose from it is super important. And
So what are like the top? Yes. What are the top 5 things in your joy list?
Oh, I have 18 things on my list.
Top 5.
Top 5. Okay, top 5 is working out.
Mm-hmm.
I get so much joy just from doing a really hard workout, which I kill myself every day. I'm feeling it today.
And if you're listening and you're like, that's crazy, it's okay. I think it's crazy too that is on her joy list. But each their own. Each their own.
I love a very, very challenging and hard workout. That's on my joy list. Listening to Beyonce as loud as I can in my car. That's on my joy list. Surprise, surprise. Getting a dirty chai from a good coffee shop, not Starbucks, because Starbucks is crap. Sorry for all you Starbucks lovers. But I really hate their dirty chai. It's terrible. But sometimes you just have to because it's the only option.
Yep.
So that's 3. Taking a bath. Mm-hmm. I love a good bath. Love a good bath. And it was so sweet. My future sister-in-law, my brother's fiance, ended up a few weeks ago gifting me like this huge bag of bath stuff. Like probably $200 or $300 worth of bath stuff. She gifted me this like bag full of bath stuff. I was like, Morgan, you do not have to do that. She's like, I know this is on your joy list. I was like, you're right, it sure is.
That's
so
sweet.
Taking a bath, it's super sweet. I love it. And walking to my mailbox without my Apple Watch or my iPhone or anything like clothing, obviously, on my body. But
good.
Yes. You were very, very confused about that.
So concerned. That and La La Land, like go.
La La Cam walking to her mailbox naked in La La Land. This is a great episode. Oh man. But those are my things on my list. I love, and the reason I like walking to my mailbox clothed but nothing else is it's like my 30 seconds to a minute of nobody contacting me, no texting, no calling, no Facebook Messenger, no kids yelling my name. Like it's 60 seconds. Like it's short enough and it's cam time. 60 seconds. Or okay, I'm gonna have a 6 one, a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's good. For those who don't know what a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is, I actually went to a conference in July of 2019 and learned about this from the Rise conference that Rachel Hollis put together. And I came back and I remember telling you about it, and you were like, I'm not game for that.
I don't like being forced to do things.
Well, you know what? Now I force.
That's why I didn't like it. So you just have to phrase things differently.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah,
good to know. I'm always learning.
I love to dance.
Yes,
to dance. But the thought of being like, oh, we're gonna do this and it's gonna happen right now, was like,
well, you didn't have the full story of why. And then we both went to the same conference, but for business instead of personal. And Kaylee got into it for sure. And now we have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1s, and it's amazing.
Quite fun.
It's super fun. So for those, I didn't really explain it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is you make a playlist on Spotify or wherever you make a playlist. I don't know where else you make one, but on Spotify, make a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 list, and it's like
or follow ours.
Or what? Or you can find ours. Maybe we can link it in the show notes.
Sure can.
Yeah. The show notes. Go to the bottom. And what it is, I don't know where I'm pointing. This is strange. I guess if this goes on YouTube, down there.
Like and subscribe.
Feel like an airplane. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is a playlist of really fun pump up songs. If I were making the playlist, Kaylee involved some of my favorite songs on the playlist, and then there's some of Kaylee's favorite songs on the playlist. Anyways, we have this list of like super fun dance move songs, and somebody on the team will say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you just like dance it out, jump around, do the robot, whatever you want to do for 30 seconds. Just 30 seconds. The finger worm. Kaylee's signature move. And it just like brings joy. That's the whole reason you do it, is to bring
It
joy.
puts you
And
out of
if you're, yeah, if you're like John, who isn't a dancer, who's on our team, he will just stand up and be like bobbing his head. It's like, this is my 2 cents right here, just bobbing the head.
That's what I'm putting. Yep.
Between John
Like,
bobbing the head and Kaylee doing the finger worm, sometimes I'm the only one that's like whipping my hair back and forth and like actually getting a sweat on. It's fun. You should do a 5 4 3 2 1. Maybe we'll like put a maybe we'll at the end of this episode we should do like 5 4 3 2 1 for them to like dance out to in their car or something. Yeah,
sounds good.
sounds like a plan.
Copyright might be an issue, but
Well, you know what? We'll ask for forgiveness. Shh, we didn't say that. All right. Any final thoughts for this Love Yourself episode?
Do a joy list. Write it down. And share on Wednesday when you listen to this, share your joy list with us. We'd love to repost it and get some ideas. Because
Yeah.
I feel like whenever people share what they are excited about and what is bringing them joy, I am like, oh, wait, I want to try that. I want to do XYZ. I want to paint. Not a painter, but maybe I want a watercolor, because you love watercolor. You don't, not talking about you. You don't
Yeah,
watercolor, but other people do. And so, like, sharing what is bringing you joy inevitably brings other people joy. And it could simulate some more joy throughout this place, which we all need.
we all need it.
So tag us on Instagram at the Render Co.
.co.
.co. Yes, at the render.co. I should know that.
We only created it, so.
But tag us and we will share it. We would love to share your joy list if you're comfortable with that. Don't tag us if you're not.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
We'll share it.
Well, even if you don't tag us and you share it on your own, there's so much joy in just sharing it. I mentioned this in my clubhouse room this morning. I had a couple of my old high school friends from high school a long time ago who I haven't talked to probably since high school. And I've been posting almost every day, not every day, but I've been posting often about my workouts and like eating healthy and just living a healthier lifestyle. And I've had so many people just reach out on DMs and they've been like, you posting about this has made me want to do this, and you posting about this has reignited my love for working out, or you posting this has done this for me. And which is so fun. I'm not posting it for me sometimes because I'm really proud of what I'm my workouts, but if me posting about it encourages somebody else to and it helps them with the lifestyle that they need and that will serve them, I'll keep posting about it. And this happened last year. I started doing this working out thing last year, like most people do on New Year's. And then the pandemic hit, and I was like, see you with that. I'm not doing that anymore. Peace. But I'm not doing that this year. Committed, finally. So, even if you don't tag us and you don't want us to repost it, that's fine.
Share it with someone else. Just share it with a close friend. Share it with a close friend.
Text it to someone.
Yes.
Yeah, but write it down in your notes section on your phone or on Post-it notes or on a list, but write it down, get it out of your head.
Yeah, and one last final thought while we're talking about it. Since all of this is because of Valentine's Day and we're talking about loving ourselves and like prioritizing ourselves, one challenge that I'm personally going to do, and I want to challenge all of our listeners and you, Cam, is to, in whatever form you want to do this, write yourself a Valentine. Like, tell yourself that you're proud of yourself. And even if you don't believe it right now, write to your future self, write to your past self, write to yourself presently, and just tell yourself that you love you and like be that person for yourself. Because if you don't have it, you are that person, and it'll be something that you'll look back on years from now and be so glad that you did. Because I have found letters that I have written to myself, like I used to do it in college all the time, and I found them and I'm like, oh my gosh, like wow, I really needed to hear this again. So whether it's like a voice memo to yourself, whether you are like full on DIY arts and crafts, like making yourself a Valentine with big heart and like the ruffled, like you used to do in preschool, or maybe it's just like a virtual paperless postcard that you send yourself, whatever form you want to do it, write yourself a Valentine.
I love that. At that conference I mentioned going to over the summer 2 years ago, I had at the conference, they encouraged you to write a letter to your perseverance. They said, think about your perseverance and how you've come throughout your life and write yourself a letter to your perseverance. And it was so freeing to do that. You know, a lot of my past story. I'm not going to go into it, but there's a lot that I've had to persevere through. And it was so freeing. And I cried like a baby, which, does not happen
No.
ever. Like I cry maybe once a year. Check, I've already done it for the year. But I wrote this letter to myself, to my persistence, just like telling myself that I have done so much, I've been through so much, I'm still here, like I'm still living life. And it was so freeing to do that. And I looked back on it a couple days ago and I was like, oh wow, like this is what I was feeling in the moment when I was talking about this. And it's so freeing to do. And so I love that you're saying about like a love letter to yourself. We need it for sure. And then save it.
Yeah.
Don't throw it away.
Yeah. Don't burn it. Don't throw it away. Keep it.
Yeah. And if you're not feeling great about where you're at in this season right now, write it to your future self, or write it to a past self, or write it to a version of yourself that you can appreciate and love immensely. Mm-hmm. And that's okay if you don't feel that way right now, but write yourself a letter anyways. Okay, you've got 2 tasks. At the end of this episode, everybody has 2 things they're going to do. They're going to write a joy list with 10 things on it. Then they're going to write a love letter to yourself. 2. 1 and 2. With the finger worm. Okay. Well, this wraps up episode 45, all about self-love. Shout us out on Instagram. Share it with us. We are so excited to have this for you. See you later.